You're listening to an AI audio recording generated to make our content easier to consume, whenever and wherever works best for you. Now let's dive in to discuss TechCXO's blog article. Agencies execute, contractors deliver, fractional CMOs own outcomes, how to structure marketing leadership for growth. As companies scale, the marketing model that once worked eventually stops working. What previously drove results becomes misaligned with the growing complexity of the business. Choosing between a fractional CMO versus agency versus contractor can feel urgent, but adding resources alone rarely fixes structural misalignment. The difference between stalled growth and sustainable acceleration is rarely talent alone. It is how leadership, execution, and expertise are structured and whether they are aligned to the stage of the company. Agencies, contractors, and fractional CMOs each play a distinct role in a growth company. The friction begins when these entities are hired interchangeably or expected to operate outside their intended design. Understanding the difference between fractional CMOs, agencies, and contractors isn't theoretical. It directly impacts speed, cost efficiency, and performance. Knowing when to hire a fractional CMO versus when to engage an agency, or whether a contractor can fill the gap, is one of the most consequential decisions a growth stage company makes. Agencies execute. Agencies provide structured execution capacity for marketing programs. They bring teams, processes, creative resources, and channel expertise designed to scale campaigns across multiple initiatives at once. When your strategic vision is clear, that is, your ideal customer profile, ICP, defined, positioning stable, messaging aligned, KPIs explicit, agencies can accelerate growth meaningfully. That effectiveness stems from how agencies are designed to operate as external marketing partners. For example, consider a SaaS company with a defined ICP, stable positioning, and a clear pipeline target. An agency can step in to scale acquisition across multiple channels, execute a content calendar, and optimize conversion flows because the strategic direction is already set. In that context, the agency multiplies output against a known playbook. Agencies are built around leverage and standardization. They are expensive by nature and often rigid by design. The smaller your account is relative to their portfolio, the more likely you are to receive templated solutions and less senior attention. Turnaround for even small adjustments can stretch into days. If you have time, capital, and a relatively stable product and brand, agencies can be powerful partners for scaling marketing campaigns. If you are operating with a limited budget and a rapidly evolving offering, the agency model can become challenging. Discovery expands. Messaging shifts midstream. Work gets rescoped. The organization may feel busy without feeling meaningfully ahead. Without a strong internal marketing leader managing priorities and holding performance accountable, the efficiency that made the agency model attractive in the first place erodes quickly. Agencies amplify a clear strategy. They struggle when that clarity is still forming. Contractors deliver. Contractors are individual contributors hired to execute defined scopes of marketing work. They may manage paid media, build dashboards, write conversion copy, implement automation, or execute a focused channel strategy. These professionals are specialists brought in to solve specific problems. When direction is clear and scope is well defined, contractors increase precision and speed. They are nimble, focused, and often more flexible than agency teams, particularly in fast-moving environments. Because contractors operate with such focus and flexibility, Confusion often arises in how the market labels these roles. In recent years, the term fractional has increasingly been used to describe freelance or contract execution work. But fractional is an executive operating model, not a synonym for contract work. If the business needs strategic coordination and hires only execution, output will increase, but misalignment scales with it, expanding activity without necessarily improving results. Contractors increase throughput. They are not intended to architect the marketing system. Fractional CMOs own outcomes. A fractional CMO steps into the business as an embedded executive, bringing strategic clarity, revenue alignment, and disciplined accountability to a function that often operates reactively. These seasoned executives define priorities, align marketing to revenue objectives, structure teams, allocate resources, and establish performance accountability. Their focus is not on completing tasks, but on building and guiding the system that produces results. Most fractional CMOs are willing to execute when needed. The question is whether that is the highest and best use of capital for the company. A CMO shapes the system. They are not meant to be the system itself. That distinction becomes especially important as companies scale. Fractional leadership is not reserved for large or mature organizations. Many early stage or scaling companies benefit significantly from experienced strategic oversight, particularly in the beginning. The key is understanding what problem you are solving as a business. Unclear direction and misaligned priorities signal a leadership gap that requires executive intervention, while execution capacity gaps require bandwidth and specialized skill. That's something leadership alone cannot provide. Fractional CMOs establish the strategic foundation that makes agencies effective and contractors productive. Without that foundation, execution fragments. For growth stage companies, the instinct is often to add more execution when performance softens. More campaigns, more channels, more support. However, when the underlying structure is misaligned, additional execution increases complexity before it improves performance. More activity is not the same as more progress. Before adding another resource, leadership should isolate the constraint affecting performance. In most growth stage environments, that constraint falls into one of four categories: strategic clarity, cross-functional coordination, execution capacity, or specialized expertise. In many growth stage companies, the most durable model is intentionally layered over time. Fractional executive leadership to establish direction and align marketing to revenue agencies to scale once that direction is clear. Contractors to address targeted gaps or add focused expertise. When leadership precedes scale, execution sharpens, capital works harder, and agencies and contractors deliver more meaningful impact, while strategic trade-offs become clearer. In practice, this sequence plays out in phases. A fractional CMO typically comes in first to establish the go-to-market foundation, defining ICP, aligning messaging to revenue goals, auditing existing marketing investments, and setting the KPIs that actually matter. Once that foundation is stable, agencies can be brought in to scale the highest priority channels without constant redirection. Contractors then fill in around the edges: a paid media specialist to manage a specific campaign, a content strategist to accelerate SEO, a marketing ops contractor to build out the reporting infrastructure. Each layer serves a specific purpose. The mistake most growth stage companies make is skipping straight to execution and then wondering why results are inconsistent. When scale precedes leadership, complexity accelerates faster than results. For growth stage leaders, the issue is not whether to use agencies, contractors, or a fractional CMO. All three can create leverage. The question is whether they are deployed in the right order and for the right reason. When they are not, cost and complexity outpace performance. Performance suffers when the operating structure hasn't evolved with the business. When leadership, execution, and expertise are layered intentionally, marketing becomes a coordinated growth engine. Leadership first, scale second. Get the sequence right and performance compounds. Get it wrong and you scale activity instead of results. Role clarity. Agencies, contractors, and fractional CMOs each serve distinct functions in marketing growth. Strategic foundation. Fractional CMOs provide executive leadership that aligns marketing with revenue objectives. Execution focus. Agencies and contractors are most effective when direction and priorities are already established. Order matters. Deploying leadership before scaling execution sharpens performance and maximizes capital efficiency. Structure drives results. Evolving the marketing operating structure intentionally is critical for sustainable growth. To optimize marketing outcomes, companies must understand the differences between a fractional CMO versus agency versus contractor, and intentionally layer leadership, execution, and expertise to match their growth stage.